everything happening in the community and tells you how you can use that to your real estate advantage. And now, here's your host, Dick Barr.
Hello. This is Dick Barr. Welcome back to another episode of Unlocking Lake County. I am your host, Dick Barr, here with my co-host, Kristen Kaufman. Say hello.
Hello, everybody. How are we today?
And back in the studio this week, after some disabled list surgeries, we have our mortgage expert, Sly Marinka.
Hello.
And joining us this week, we have a new guest and a special guest because every week we talk about buying and selling real estate, and some people want to stay in their house and they want to make it look better. So we brought in a builder, Ken Bryant with Riverside Homes.
River Valley Homes.
I'm sorry, Ken. Say hello.
Hello. How's everybody doing?
Great. Thanks for joining us again. It's been an interesting week. Last week we had some elections, and the public went out and they had their say, and some tax bills passed and some tax bills lost. But here we are. I'm getting picked up on another mic, it sounds like. I wonder what it is. Maybe number 2. You're off number 2, Ken, right?
Yep.
Let me take that one off. Oh, yeah, I think that's much, much better. Okay, good. My big mouth gets picked up on all the mics up here. Sly, do me a favor. Give me a little bit of a test. Give me a test 1, 2.
Test 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's great. Okay.
You sound beautiful.
You sound beautiful.
Oh, thank you.
And for some reason, Kristen always comes into my left ear only, not my right. You're my left-leaning influence.
Is that the angel on your shoulder or the devil?
Ooh, I think the angel's on the left shoulder, isn't it?
We'll go with that.
There you go.
But you got the red hair like the devil.
Either way, I'm always right.
Okay, well, here we are on a beautiful sunny day in downtown Round Lake Beach and Studio A at 98.3 The Life FM in what used to be called Secorville. And there's a long tale that one of the local residents who's been here for decades told me about that. And one of these days, I'm going to invite him into the studio and let him tell the story about the guy that used to kind of own all the business around here.
Ooh,
so,
fun.
Yeah, downtown Secorville. Anyway, we got a lot to cover today. We're going to talk about, obviously, some real estate. We're going to talk about what the trends are. We're going to have our market minute. We'll get into the pulse of the mortgage market. And then in our second hour, we're going to talk about ways that you can lock in place. And if you're going to be golden handcuffed to your homes, might as well make it look nice. And that's why we brought Ken in to discuss options and costs and, you know, what the best bang for your buck and return on your investments are. So I'm going to get started right away with my market minute.
On top of the market with Dick Barr's Market Minute.
Dick Barr's Market Minute.
Okay, and welcome back to for another episode of Market Minute, where we talk about all the trends in real estate all across the region of Northwest Lake County. We're going to talk about what's active, what's selling, what's under contract, and how much inventory we have, and how hard it is for the buying and selling public, or how easy it is in certain circumstances to transact. So in Northwest Lake County this week, we have 100 active listings. We've got new this week, 20 new listings. It's a big drop off from last week where we had 60, big drop of 67%. Under contract in the past 7 days, we had 42, slightly down from last week, where we had 55. Under contract in the past 30 days, there was 173, which is a large jump from last month, where we had only 117. The inventory, the average days on market for the entire region is 24 days with just a half-month supply of inventory. For those that don't know, a month supply of inventory is how long would it take to sell everything that's currently on the market if no new listings hit. That's only half a month. Half a month to sell the entire inventory left in Lake County right now. Lowest price in the county, a staggeringly low $50,000 with a high of $1.075 million. The highest active property on the market right now is $4.5 million, and the median price of $360,000. Let's head right over to Antioch, where Antioch still holds the the record for the largest number of actives, where they have 28 currently on the market. Only 5 new listings about this week compared to 13 last week. 6 under contract in the past 7 days. Big drop off from the prior week where they had 11. Under contract in the past 30 days, and Antioch has been 35 compared to about double the prior month where they had 18. Days on market average is 28 days with a just under 1 month supply of inventory in Antioch. Lowest price in Antioch is $145,000 with the highest price sold at $1.075 million. The highest active in Antioch is $2.8 million with a median price of $342,000. In Volo, Fox Lake, and Ingleside combined, only 12 properties sitting on the market right now. Excuse me. 1 new listing this week compared to 9 last week, and 5 under contract this week, a slight tick up from last week where they put 3 under contract. This month, the area had 12 go under contract compared to 10 last month. And the days on market average is 12. That's staggeringly quick, with only a 0.7 month supply of inventory. The area's lowest price sold home was $75,000, with the highest price of $875,000, with a $1.7 million highest active price right now. Now on over to Grays Lake, Gages Lake, Haynesville, Third Lake, and Wildwood, where they have 23 homes on the market. 4 have gone under contract this past 7 days compared to 10 the prior week. And, I'm sorry, that's the new listings number. 4 new listings compared to 10 listings last week. 7 under contract in the past 7 days compared to 8 last week. And under contract in the past 30 days, 28, which is a big jump from last month where they had just 18. Days on market average in the area is 19 days with, again, a 0.7 month supply of inventory. Prices ranging from $127,000 to $1.5 million, with a median price of $330,000. Now on to Gurnee, where we have, again, Gurnee staying strong on the low side. Only 6 active homes on the market. New listings this week, a big goose egg, 0.
Oof.
Yeah. Big drop from last week where they had 8. 4 have gone under contract in the past 7 days compared to 9 the prior week. And under contract in the past 30 days was 28, almost double the prior month where they had only 15. Days on market average in Gurnee is 21 with a month supply, and not surprisingly, 0.2 months. Lowest price in Gurnee was $235,000 with a high of $775,000, but the highest active at $1.249 million. Median price in Gurnee was $366,000. Now on to my backyard of Lindenhurst and Lake Villa, where 15 homes sitting actively on the market. 5 new listings this week compared to 8 last week, when we have 6 have gone under contract in the past 7 days. I think 2 of those were mine. Mm-hmm. And compared to 8 the prior week, this month, the past 30 days, we've seen 28 homes go under contract compared to 24 the prior month. And the days on market average, only 3 weeks with a half-month supply of inventory. Pricing ranging from $50,000 on the low end to $585,000 on the high end, with $4.5 million, the highest active price in Lindenhurst and Lake Villa. Median price of only $302,000. Now that's a significant increase over just a few years ago. I would say the median was probably in the low 200s in the area. Now we're clearly over 3, a sharp 50% increase over the past just couple of years. Now on to Lake and the entire area of Round Lake, where there's only 8 active listings on the market. 3 new listings this past 7 days, and compared to 12 the prior. Big drop off. This week, we've seen 12 homes go under contract, exactly the same as we saw last week where there was 12. This month, we've seen 36 homes go under contract, about a 50% increase from the prior month where they had 26. And the days on market average in Round Lake, 33 days, with a month supply of only 0.2 months. And the pricing ranging from $103,000 on the low end to $475,000 on the high end, with the highest active home just under $400,000 to $3,900 and a median price of $278,000. Wow, it's always words to say our market is hot. Slide out there in the market right now.
Very good. Lots of multiple offers, clients bidding against each other. Simply not enough inventory. I mean, that's kind of what I'm hearing. Every property sells right away if it's priced accordingly, and very hot market.
Now we had a listing this week, and one of your clients was looks like they were trying to make an offer. I don't know that they actually made the offer, but I know one of your clients came to us and they said, "Hey, our lender is Sly Marinka. Is that good?" I'm like, "That's great." But again, I don't think they made making the offer. Kristen, I know you did an open house last weekend.
I sure did.
What was it like in the open house?
Our open house last week was crazy. I don't think I have hosted an open house that had that much traffic in quite a while. It was a lot of fun, though. I got to meet a lot of friendly faces, and it was competitive. It was friendly but competitive.
I remember when I was there with you, there was a potential buyer who walked in, and they were kind of telling us a story. They were telling us how much they loved the house and they really wanted it, and they were saying, well, they're going to talk to their realtor about making an offer. And they gave us the realtor's name, and it turned out that realtor had already submitted an offer for another one of their clients.
Wow.
In that experience, I think we wound up getting 38 showings in 2 days, 12 offers. We had, I don't know, what would you say, about 50 people walk through the open house?
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. I know the week prior, we had just about probably over 100 people, individual people walking through. Yep. About 50 this week, but it was a higher price point. But I think we wound up getting more offers, even though there were kind of less traffic.
Yeah, we did.
And the weather wasn't the best. I think Saturday was nice and sunny, but the next day was a little bit overcast and cold.
Saturday was gorgeous. Oh my God, what it did for the view in that backyard.
Oh yeah, that's right. The beautiful pond view. Yeah, that was awesome. Okay, where are we at? We're at 12:10, 10 minutes past the hour. And I want to talk a little bit, now that we got Sly back in the studio. Sly, when you were here last time, you were talking about the concept of the golden handcuffs. Explain to the viewers who aren't familiar with the phrase what that means.
Yeah, I mean, in essence, interest rates have gone up significantly over the last year and a half to 2 years. Most mortgages that are currently out there are way lower than what the current rates are. I have a lot of clients that are in the 2s on a 30-year fixed, if not the low 3s. And that is posing an issue for the current inventory problem. And what I mean by that is people don't want to give up those super low rates. So even if you want to move, even if you hate your neighbors or, you've outgrown your house, because you have such a low interest rate, people aren't willing to give that up to move on to the next home. So they're calling that on the golden handcuff, where you're handcuffed to your home. And until rates come down significantly, I think a lot of those people are going to stay put. But once rates do come down, I think we'll see some of those decide to, and it might never back to what it was in 2s or the low 3s. But I mean, if you're at 3% and the current rates are at 7, that's more than double, right? But if they come down to 5, 5.5, that may be enough of a dip for some of those people to kind of get off the fence and say, all right, I'm ready to make that move.
Yeah, because I think we do have a number of people who were in at 5, that, probably before, kind of after the the mortgage collapse of 2008 as they were coming down 5-4. So a lot of people were locking in there and hadn't refinanced to the lower rates. So I think that will loosen up some inventory. It's interesting. Last week we talked about millennials entering the market and them learning the lessons of the news that they were seeing, the news they saw about the mortgage collapse. And I feel bad for the millennials because they keep witnessing these things, and it's affecting if they shop for a home, and if they do shop for a home, how they shop for a home. So that golden handcuffs concept is also being reflected in the concept of considering long-term residency in the homes they buy. Making sure the homes will suit them for not just today, but far into the future, afraid that they might be locked in too, because that's what they're witnessing now. So we're seeing a lot more of people buying homes based on what they might consider having to age in place.
Sure.
Where maybe ranches will start being much more prevalent because people want to think about, well, what if I have to retire in this home? When I was coming up, most people looked at staying in their homes between 5 and 8 years, and now kind of people know ever since the mortgage collapse and now with the increased rates, people realizing that 10 to 20, 25 years might be how long they're going to have to stick it out. But this whole concept is why we also brought in Ken Bryant, because we want to talk about options for homeowners if they want a change of scenery in their home, but maybe they are locked into their homes for longer terms. So Ken, we're going to get to you fully in the next hour.
Yeah.
But kind of give us a little bit of background of what you're seeing from homeowners, the types of projects they're doing if they want to stay in place.
Oh, for sure. For sure, you're seeing kitchens and bathrooms everywhere through the house. Updating everything. I tell my clients quite often that if you're spending money to stay there, get everything you want out of your renovation, and they're doing exactly that. They're going full bore towards kitchens and bathrooms, larger closet spaces, customized closets. We see a lot of that, and it's great. It's great, and we've been doing this, since the mortgage or since the collapse of 2008 when people started staying because they couldn't sell their homes. So this is nothing new.
Yeah, so when you say they're doing everything, you see many additions being built?
Some. I just finished one in Third Lake, and yeah, it's a big living space, 3-car garage. They wanted more living space, and the basement of this home was only about 6.5 feet tall. So it's an older home, short basement, so they couldn't finish out the basement. So they went with a massive garage and then went 2-story over that garage, and that essentially is their great room, their living space that they spend with their family. That's where they have their TV hung on the wall, and it's a beautiful space.
Now, Ken, I have a question for you. Dick mentioned that new home buyers are going to be looking at homes with the mindset of knowing that they could potentially be there for the rest of their lives, if not 10, 20 years. What style home do you think offers the most opportunity for adding space to your home?
Oh, boy.
Or additions?
Yeah, I mean, really anything.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of a tough one in the sense that there's nothing that can't be done.
Okay.
I would say, something with a lot that is large enough to expand might be worthwhile.
So building out is a little easier than building up?
Tearing a roof off an existing home is easy to do, but tough to live in. So yes, going out should be easier. I actually have to put an addition on my home this year. I love where I live. My house is too small. I have room to expand, but I have to tear my roof off, and it's not going to be pleasant.
Oh.
But I'll do it anyway. So, yeah.
Why? Tell me. Well, because, when I first moved to Chicagoland area, I lived in Skokie, and that's kind of all people did. They had those small brick ranches, and everyone was just tearing the roofs off, building up. So what's so intense about the roof that makes that hard?
The work itself isn't that difficult. It's living in it. You have to be there unless you can move and get out of the space. So my home, for example, is finished underneath. I'll have to take part of that roof off. I'll have to protect that from weather somehow or work really fast. So there's always that fear factor of, what if we get a downpour? How do we protect the home? So before anything comes off the roof, we're already planning on how do we protect it should something happen.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So that roof comes off, and now you're just, the only thing between you and sky is a tarp.
Exactly.
And for a couple of weeks, you don't get to tell your kids, I put a roof over your head.
I put a tarp over your head.
Yeah.
Right.
Better than nothing.
So you build out, you build up. What would you say the best bang for your buck would be? Would it be expanding out, building up?
If you can go up because you already have a foundation under you, it is going to be less expensive. Concrete's expensive right now, so going out is getting pricey. For sure.
That's interesting. So one of my clients, he's a builder too, and he's having a house built, and he was kind of going over the costs with me, and just to have the basement, now it's a deep basement, and the cost is about $50,000 to $60,000 just for that basement pour. Does that sound about right?
The addition I've done in Third Lake, that was every bit of $50,000, and I have several other quotes for other projects that are right around that same range.
Now, this was just the basement pour. Is that what you're saying, or are you saying the whole project, $50,000 to $60,000?
Just the basement, just the concrete.
Wow.
Yeah, I've noticed over time recently, because we got where our garage is, the concrete starting to kind of dirt starting to come out from under the front of the garage, like the apron area of the garage, and it's starting to crack. So we went out and tried to get some kind of cut the halfway through the garage and re-pour it. I couldn't believe the price quoting.
Yeah. And
it wasn't even a large space, but I guess they have minimum their trucks out and do the work.
3 yards.
3 yards, you got it. You've got it right in your head. That's good for you. Why is concrete so expensive right now?
The material itself has went up in price. The labor has went up, but I think the driving factor is the material itself. At least that's what I hear on my end. Maybe the concrete contractors aren't truthful with me, but either way, that is what I'm hearing on my end. And I'm seeing it from multiple concrete contractors. So it's out there. And keep in mind that the labor pool is down as well. So that's going to drive that labor price up.
So, we saw back during COVID, all the materials pricing went up significantly, and a lot had to do with transportation issues. Trucks couldn't get from Canada because they closed the borders. And did anyone see that horrible bridge collapse yesterday?
Yeah. Oh my
Baltimore?
God. It triggered a whole night's worth of nightmares, imagining what I would do with my kids in the backseat of the car driving in that situation.
You know what's cool about that, though?
What's cool about that?
Watch one of the videos, the video that shows how the boat lost power, and then the power came on, and then it lost power again, and then it hit. If you watch closely, watch the traffic on the bridge. It's got steady flow of traffic, truck, car, truck, and then about 15 seconds before impact, there was no traffic. Supposedly, the only cars that were affected were the workers who were on there doing pothole repairs. Apparently, a Mayday call was made in time for the police to dispatch and stop people from. They saved lives by getting that Mayday call out for sure.
Absolutely. Last I read, I think that 2 of the people that were on the bridge have been recovered already.
Yeah, I heard one was in critical condition still, last I heard, which was late last night, and then I think there were 6 missing. And they worked for a contract firm who was contracted to do those street repairs on the bridge. But how that relates to this, this is not a squirrel moment, I promise. This is related to what we're talking about. One of the things that they said is we're going to see major shipping challenges.
Oh, sure.
Specifically along the East Coast. And I'm wondering if that's going to create more challenges for costs of goods for us out here. Ken, do you are much closer to that world than I am. Those materials that come in and the things that make things like copper or cement more expensive, are they coming through cargo like that?
I think concrete will be okay.
That's made locally.
Yeah, I don't see an issue there. You start getting into copper, for example, wiring, plumbing, things like that. Those prices have already escalated, so those could escalate potentially they could escalate more. Lumber's the one I'd watch for. Lumber was so expensive during COVID, and that dropped back down to pre-COVID pricing about a year ago, I think.
Pre-COVID pricing now?
Real close.
What's a 8-foot 2x4 costing today?
$335
Okay, yeah, that is low.
ish.
Yeah. Ish.
It was about $289 to $298, and that's exactly what I used to look at every day. Was that 8-foot 2x4? What did it cost before COVID? It was about $289, $298, and it got up to almost $8.
Wow.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's insane. Steel too. I remember steel pipe went up like crazy, almost tenfold.
Yeah, conduit's expensive. They're almost $8 a 10-foot stick.
$8 a 10-foot stick. So $80 for a bundle?
Yes.
Wow. I used to use those. I would buy them for putting my political signs in the ground. I'd buy them, cut them in half because they were the cheapest.
Yep.
Like I think I got them for $20 a bundle of 10. That's what I kind of remember paying.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I did the same thing. 500 signs. You got to figure $10 a sign just in pipe and zip ties.
Right? Only to get stolen.
But yeah, you might see those materials go up.
Okay. Well, so I mean, it seems like everywhere you turn, there's something that's causing it to be housing problem. Did anyone here see the Hawthorne Woods? I think they've got this large residentially zoned property that borders residential neighborhoods, and they want to build a giant solar farm there. I don't know how many acres it is. I think it was like 26 or some odd acres, but it's zoned residential. And I got nothing against building a solar farm. I don't know what implications of that are. I don't know if he's there or if there's, on site the sun that's going to adversely affect it. No. But I'm concerned about taking prime residential property away from an already house-tight market where we don't have enough housing. That's why we're in the mess that we're in right now. That's why housing is costing as much as it is, because we don't have inventory. Mm-hmm. And then they keep adding layer upon layer of regulation, and the cost of the housing is more too. And Ken, you could probably speak to this. Last I saw, they just passed a new rule. Every new construction home has to have an EV charger, electric vehicle charger in their garage. Have you seen this yet?
No, I haven't. I have not. I'll be doing a new construction home here shortly in Grays Lake, but I haven't seen anywhere else where I've pulled a permit where I would need to put that in. However, I do have clients that have put them in, and I don't foresee that being a large cost.
Okay, I saw it quoted anywhere as much as $8,000 or even more, and then in fact, the builder client that I have, he had submitted his plans for permits, and they kicked it back, and they said because it doesn't have the EV charger, they have to add it.
Yeah, I don't know who's charging $8,000 for an EV charger, but I might have to start doing that because that seems pretty expensive. In an existing home, it's going to be harder, and it'll depend on where your panel is at in order to get that charging station into the garage. But a new construction, going to be a lot easier, less expensive.
Okay. What is the bulk of the expense? Is it the copper wire?
Typically, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. What about Lake County? They've added home sprinklers, fire suppression sprinklers. Have you dealt with that yet?
I hadn't heard that yet. I knew Mundelein did it a while ago, but I hadn't heard Lake County has added it.
Yeah, Lake County did it for all unincorporated areas of Lake County.
Oh, nice. Those get expensive. It's been a while since I've priced one of those, so I can't really say what they cost today. But they add cost, and the way the sprinkler companies sell it is no one's ever died in a house that has not died, but that has a sprinkler system from fire. Of course it hasn't, because there's a sprinkler system. I think sprinkler systems are fine, but I think it's overkill.
I did the research when they were trying to push this through the county, and so going back at least 25 years, as far back as I went, no one's ever died in Lake County in a house fire where they had a working smoke detector either. So
yeah, well, one of the things that I heard, and this was back out in I think it was probably out in Mundelein, is the water supply is such where they need to put these fires out fast. So that's where it comes in. It's not so. I think it's more that than they're worried about saving your life. Is they don't know that they can get out there and have enough gallons of water to put out a house, so they put the sprinkler system in, it stops it quicker.
Yeah, it's interesting, and that's one of the people I spoke to in favor of it is connected to the fire department, and that was, they talked about that. There's less damage, but the water damage is almost equally as destructive as the fire damage.
Yeah.
But they did make a point that I did not study, but I could understand, which is it's safer for the firemen because they have less danger to put themselves into.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr will return in just a few moments after these important messages. Don't touch that dial. Lake County with Dick Barr return in just a few moments after these messages. Ted Dial.
It's time for
Open-Up Auction Service in Round Lake reminds you to raise your awareness of the importance of being proactive in the fight against cancer. Due to improvements in detection, treatment, and public awareness, deaths due to lung, colon, breast, and prostate cancers are being reduced. Cancer is a tough topic for people to confront, but if you take the time to be informed, you can greatly reduce your risk. This from Open-Up Auction Service in Round Lake, working to make our community even better. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure.
Trivia answer.
What is the approximate market value minus any debt call? The answer is equity.
Welcome back to Unlocking Lake County with your host, Dick Barr.
Okay, welcome back. This is Dick Barr. Welcome back to the second half hour of Unlocking Lake County, and we're lucky we got everyone still in the studio. Let's get a hello from Kristen.
Hi, friends. Welcome back.
Sly.
Hello, hello.
And Ken Bryant.
Hello, welcome back.
Great. We do that as a little trick to make sure I've got everyone's mic working, giving everyone else another chance to say hello.
It's not really a trick if you tell them about it.
I know. It's like
Right.
I feel like the Penn and Teller.
You're like
right?
a magician who tells all their secrets.
Yeah, and that makes it part of the interesting part. I mean, when I was growing up, I used to listen to Howard Stern. What I loved most about Howard Stern is that you felt like you were in the studio with him, like you knew all the backstories and everything. Prior to Stern, everything was kind of behind this kind of curtain of mystery, and you didn't really know how it worked. And then Stern came along and just kind of threw all of that out there and kind of exposed everything behind the curtain. As so happy to have Sly Marinka of the Sly Marinka team at Cross Country Mortgage back in the studio, because Sly's been out. He had a little bit of a shoulder issue, but he's back, and he's back to give us all the great information that we've so sorely missed.
Stay on top of the market with Dick Barr's Market Minute.
Oops.
Dick Barr's Market Minute.
Sorry, Sly. I like hearing my own name.
No
Here's the Mortgage Minute with Sly Marinka and Cross Country Mortgage on Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Hello, good to be back. As Dick mentioned, I did have shoulder surgery 2 weeks ago, recovering well, so happy about that. So this week, mortgage rates did tick down a little bit. The national average is just under 7%.
Nice.
Which is nice compared to a couple weeks ago. There's been a couple of strong bond auctions that have caused these rates to trickle down a little bit. This Friday, the Personal Consumption Expenditure Price Index, better known as the PCE, is that number will be released on Friday, and that is what the government basically judges inflation on. So we'll see how that will impact if it comes in hotter than expected. Obviously, rates will probably creep up a little bit. We're hoping that doesn't happen. But back to what we were talking about earlier with, the concrete and the cost of concrete, the cost of construction, the cost of groceries, the cost of everything. That's inflation. That's what's causing these elevated rates. So fingers crossed that slows down a little bit here, and that's what would help rates trickle back down.
Talk about that, Ken, if you don't mind. Talk about why does inflation lead to higher interest rates for anyone who doesn't know?
It erodes the the yield on bonds is affected directly by inflation. So your money's not worth as much as it was, and that's what causes higher interest rates. Government has to sell these bonds and offer a more attractive rate to get investors to purchase them. So mortgage-backed securities and mortgages are directly tied to those numbers. So unfortunately, as long as prices stay high, rates will stay high. The government has a target of 2% inflation. we were on the track to that last year. So as inflation cooling off a little bit, the government was going to stop raising the rate, possibly lower rates this year. They have stopped raising the rates. We haven't lowered them yet because inflation is what they want it to be. So until we see that number continuously coming down, inching closer to that 2% target, rates will probably stay high. So, hopefully that number, like I said, that number that comes out on Friday, the PCE number, hopefully it doesn't spook the markets, and we keep going, down this trend of lower rates, because I think that's what's going to get more buyers. It's easier to get approved. Obviously, payments are lower. Nobody wants to pay more. So the closer we get to these lower rates, the better it is going to be, I think, for everybody.
Okay. So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
On behalf of the discouraged renter that just heard us say that rates may never get down to 2%, like we said earlier. But you did mention that they could get as low as 5 at some point. What are you comfortable talking about, like what difference that can make on a monthly payment? Because I don't want anyone hearing that and thinking, oh, then I'll never be able to afford it. Go ahead and talk about that a little bit if you don't mind.
So like on, let's say, a $200,000 loan, at 7%, the payment is principal and interest, not taxes and insurance, is about $1,330 a month.
Oh my God.
If you could get to 5%, that same loan is now $1,073 a month, which is a $256 a month difference. So that's $3,000 a year plus in your pocket that you're not spending on mortgage interest. So a 2% drop would be pretty significant. And then obviously if it's a $300,000 or $400,000 loan, that savings becomes even more. And that's also why people always refinance too. So, we've seen, a lot of these buyers that have closed at 6.5%, 7.5%, 7%, whatever. We have them in our database ready to go. So once rates do come down, we'll be reaching out to all those people and saying, hey, you could save X amount of dollars per month. If you average that out over the next however many years, it could be huge. The other thing that we like to see is, if you're comfortable with your payment, let's say you're at 7% and you're comfortable with your payment and the rates come down significantly, instead of doing another 30-year, you could switch to a 20-year or even a 15-year. And in fact, that's what my wife and I did with our house. We bought our house on a 30-year. 3 years later, we switched to a 20-year. 2 years later, we switched to a 15-year, and our payment stayed relatively close to what it was when we originally started. So in essence, we're saving almost 10 years in mortgage interest by keeping our payment relatively close to what it was when we started.
Do you mind if I did? Hold on, I'm sorry, Kristen. Do you mind if I ask a little bit more about that?
Sure.
By switching from a 30 to a 20 to a 15, couldn't they get the similar effect by just increasing the amount that they're putting into it to get to those 15? Or is there an actual benefit for switching?
So the benefit is if the rates come down, taking advantage of that lower rate.
Gotcha.
So that's why, anybody could pay a 30-year loan off in 15 years. You just have to pay significantly more towards the principal every month. But in our case, when we went from a 30-year to a 20-year, we saved almost 1% in interest. And then when we went from a 20 to a 15-year, we saved over 1% in interest. So that's why we took advantage of that, because we were comfortable with the payment. We weren't refinancing to lower the payment. We wanted to cut off the back of the loan, and it's going to save us hundreds of thousands of dollars by getting rid of those worth of interest.
Wow.
When rates come down, it's not as best to, I'm going to get a lower payment, because you haven't starting over for years. So imagine paying on your home for 5 years and you have 25 years left, and then you refinance and you start over at 30. So it's important to really look at the big picture and look at all of your options and kind of see what works best for you.
I'm sorry, Kristen, you can go ahead.
No, that's okay. I was essentially going to point out the same thing. And so basically what you're saying is that you were paying the same amount per month as you always were. Your money was just getting put in a more beneficial place for you.
Way more was going towards the principal on a 15-year than a 30-year.
Yeah.
So our house is being paid off much faster. Even if we don't stay in it until it's paid off, when we go to sell it, we're going to owe way, way, way less, because more than half of our payment's going towards principal now.
Yeah, it's great.
So smart to do. One other tip. So we work with a lot of first-time home buyers, And obviously, credit is super, super important in everything that we do. That's like pretty much the main thing besides the debt to income ratios that we look at. And I can't tell you how big of a difference it is for some people that get a head start with their credit, first-time home buyers. And what that means is, and what I mean by that is, establishing credit takes time, right? So if I go and apply for a new credit card, and I've never had credit report before, it's going to take a minimum of 6 months for me to even get a score. So it takes a while to build it up. And my initial score is not probably going to be great because I only have one trade line with a limited history. So there's a trick. There's a way to get kind of around that. And it takes a family member helping you out. So let me tell a quick story. My assistant Melissa started working with me. It'll be 10 years coming up here in April. And when she first started, she needed to buy a new car. Went to the car dealership. Hey, sorry, you have no credit. We can't sell you a car. So she came to work, told me I'm sorry, I need a new car. What should I do? Should I get a credit card? I said, well, I mean, if you get a credit card, it's going to take 6 months to a year before you get credit scores. You need a car now. I said, let's talk to your parents. Talk to mom and dad. Mom and dad added her as an authorized user to their existing credit accounts. 2 of their credit cards. You don't want credit cards that are maxed out. You don't want credit cards that have any late payments. It could be a TJ Maxx card, a Walmart card, a Chase, whatever it is. So they added her to 2 accounts. She went back to the same car dealership about a month later. They pulled credit. She had an 800 score. And she was able to buy the car she wanted. So, parents, if you want to give your kids a head start, add them as an authorized user to your already existing accounts that are in good standing. They get credit for that for as long as the account's been open. The credit bureaus don't say, oh, they just opened this last month. When they run it, it'll say this account has been open for however long it's been open, no late payments. And that's a really, really good way to help your kids out, establish their credit and get a head start.
That's awesome. Is there an age limit to that?
I don't think there's an age limit, not that I'm aware of. I think every card, some cards won't allow you to do it. So we've had people before that called whatever particular Discover card or whatever, and they say, no, sorry, we don't do that. Some don't report the credit bureau as well. So you just want to literally, pick an account, look on the back of the account, the card, call the 1-800 number and say, hey, I would like to add my, son or to my existing account as an authorizer. You're not opening a new account. They're going to get a card in the mail. You could literally cut it up and throw it away. They never have to use it one time in order to get this benefit. And it's just as easy to remove them. So once they establish their own credit and they don't need your help anymore, call the same card and say, hey, we no longer want this service. Please remove my son or daughter off of my card as an authorized user.
So
and
smart.
That's a way to get a head start and help your kids establish their credit much quicker than them just applying for their own accounts.
So that's the beautiful type of valuable information that I love that we're providing to our listeners and viewers. But
Yeah.
you mentioned a couple of things that raise some questions to me. Are there any downsides?
The downside would be if that card comes into the mail to your son or daughter and they go and they take it and they max that sucker out, you're on the hook for those payments.
Ooh.
So you want to do this responsibly. You want to sit down and have a family moment where, hey, I'm going to help you and this is going to get you a head start in the credit world so that once it's time for you to buy a car, once it's time for you to, buy your own house, this is helping you, but you gotta make sure that we're on the same page on this. That's why I tell people, you don't even have to use the card. Cut it up the second it comes in the mail so it's not a temptation. So yes, that is the downside, that it could impact mom and dad's credit if the son or daughter goes out and maxes out the card or misses a payment or whatever.
And the important thing about having that conversation, and I agree with you, and the benefit is all kids listen to what their parents say, so that will come in handy. But now what about if there's maybe a not so responsible parent adds their kid to their credit account as an authorized user, and the parent doesn't pay their bills? Does that have a negative effect on the child?
It does, yes. And unfortunately, we've had that happen before where, and it could even be that they add them to account that had previous late payments, or we've had it before where they get added to account that recently was maxed out they put a trip on a card, or they bought a new fridge or whatever, and all of that can impact you negatively. So that's why we always want to make sure that the account you're getting added to has no late payments, isn't maxed out, and then obviously once you're added to that account, make sure that if there is a payment, it's made. Because I've seen it before where a parent adds a child to a store credit card that they never ever use, but they go the one time to that store, they use that Best Buy account or whatever account it is, and then they forget to make the payment. That affects everybody's credit now. So got to be careful.
Yeah, you said you can remove your kid if you remove. Sorry, I work. I take everything and I microanalyze.
Yeah,
I want to know the
great.
full elasticity of everything we provide.
Yep.
You remove your kid from as an authorized user.
It no longer shows up at all.
No longer shows up at all
On the kids.
On the
Correct.
kids.
Correct, because they are not on that account anymore. It takes about 30 days for that to happen, so it's not instantaneous, but once you're removed, that account doesn't even show up at all.
So,
just like it doesn't show up when you're not on it. Similar thing.
Interesting. So we sign our kid up today.
Yep.
In April, I miss a payment. May, my kid's credit report shows a missed payment in April. I remove him in June. That missed payment for my kid disappears in July.
Correct, but now he no longer is getting credit for that account. So if that's his only account, guess what? You're back to square one. No credit at all.
Right, but that's at least a fail-safe.
Yeah.
For someone means well. They want the best for the kid. They do this.
Yep.
They flake on a payment. They missed a payment. Now the kid's punished by it. They can just remove them. They can add them to another card. It doesn't have a bad payment.
Yep, absolutely. As long as the account holder or the creditor will allow you to do that. You just have to call on, like I said, call each, because some won't, but most will. And like I said, I mean, we have that success story with my assistant where she literally went from 0 to 800. Who does that? And she was able to get the best terms and the best financing simply by being added to. And I'll tell you one more funny thing about that. Yeah. One of the accounts that her mom added to her was open before she was born. She wasn't even alive when that account had been opened. Wow. So
that's awesome.
That's just how it works.
So that's where, so a parent's responsibility can truly help,
Correct.
kind of put their kids in a good position. And does the kid have any payback liability? So is there any legal, and this is maybe an attorney question, does the kid have any liability for the debts on that card? So like if there's, let's say there's a bankruptcy by the parent, and the credit card company is going after them, but the parent files bankruptcy. Is the kid on the hook for any of that payment? And I know that's going way up.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I wouldn't think so, but I could be wrong. So you would want to talk to your, attorney if that were to happen. But why wouldn't you just remove them from the account prior to getting there? That's probably what I would do if I was in that situation. But I'm not 100% sure how it would be handled during a bankruptcy.
Okay. Ken, would you do that? Would you put your kids on your accounts?
Yeah, I think I would.
Yeah, I think that's something I'm going to do. We did our oldest when she did a little traveling. Yeah. We got her a card that was in her name, and so she can use it while she was traveling. And we just kept that open because she is responsible. We don't have to worry about this one going crazy shopping. Yep, my other one, who's 14, she does. We do. She won't ever see the light of day. But the older one has been very responsible with it. And I didn't even think about the potential benefit of her getting credit. How about you? Yeah. Would you do that?
Oh, absolutely. And honestly, same thing. My oldest is she's only 5, but she's super responsible. And I think that might just be a birth order thing. Because my second born, she's only 2 years old, but I walk her through the store and that kid is grabbing everything off the shelf and putting it into that cart. Please, Mommy.
Yeah, that's like me. You got anything else to add?
I think that's it. Add your kids as authorized users if you want to get a head start on the credit, help them, long term when they go to buy a house.
Fantastic. Thank you for that. Awesome. Okay, we're got just a few minutes. Every week we like to do our special version of Real Estate Mythbusters, where I will present the myth and then our lovely Kristen Kaufman will debunk it or say it's true. Have we ever come across that one that we actually said true? Yes, we have. I love answering my own questions. Okay, Kristen, are you ready?
I'm ready. Hit
Okay,
me.
myth number 1. You do not need a real estate agent in the internet age.
The myth is that you do not need a real estate agent in today's age with the internet. I'm going to go ahead and say that that is busted. That is not necessarily true. Well, because we as agents are in it. We are in the market every single day. And
But on the internet, I have access to all kinds of information. I can find out when it was sold, when it was listed, who listed it, all the information I could possibly want. So why do I still need you?
Well, for a couple of reasons. We are there for you. We are bound to protect your best interest. I can tell you with 100% certainty, I have never driven off of the lot after having bought a car and felt very good about the deal that I got. Because even though I negotiate for a living, I'm not a car expert. Right? So I don't know that I got the best deal possible. I've never once felt like I got the best deal possible. Because I don't know that for sure. Whereas when you use a real estate agent, you get to finish that deal knowing that there was someone in your corner there to protect your best interest. And of course, there's going to be a whole long list of other reasons that we provide value to your transaction. We're negotiating on your side. We can give you a referral to really anything that you need within that business to handle any challenges that come up during the time that you're waiting to close. We take you from beginning to end. But really, I think the biggest takeaway is that you get to finish that out and walk into your home knowing that you did get the best deal possible because someone represented you.
I think that's a beautiful answer, and I think you're right. I would say the times I most encounter that question about whether or not someone's like, oh, we don't need a realtor. They're like, we sold a house 20 years ago. I mean, how many things have changed? I've been in this 20 years. I can't count on all fingers and toes and elbows and knees how many times things have changed. But it doesn't just change over time. It changes almost weekly sometimes.
Sure.
Buyer's markets, sellers markets, median markets, how aggressive you can be, what kind of leverage you have. Should you respond positively to an inspection request? Shouldn't you? When can you dig your feet in?
What kinds of offers you can present.
Right. How creative you can get to stand out. And then your network of all of the people that can help maybe have an edge on your client's offers.
Absolutely.
So I agree 100%. It's definitely, yeah, you can do it. It can be done.
Yeah.
You could also represent yourself in a murder trial. I don't recommend it.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay, how about we got time for maybe one more? Maybe
Let's do
two.
it.
A house needs to be perfect to sell in today's market.
The myth is that a house needs to be perfect in order to sell. Not in today's market, that's for sure. I mean, everything's kind of just going so quickly. There's so few houses to choose from. I feel like people are being very forgiving with the things that they see. But I understand that you want to put your best foot forward. The house that you're about to sell. I mean, you kind of feel like you're putting yourself out there, right? Like your house representing you. So there are definitely things that you can do that are going to up your value of your home, but it absolutely does not be what you would consider perfect before you list it. Location and price is going to matter a whole lot more than perfection.
Ken, do you have an opinion on that?
I like a perfect house.
Me too.
That's just the way it is.
And Ken's had some interesting deals that we're going to get to next hour where, I mean, I've never seen someone go so above and beyond to help make something perfect.
I think it's really going to be based on where your home is located. So your location's going to make a difference, for sure. I like to walk into a house that feels like I'm walking into a brand new home if possible.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay, I think we got time for one more. Kristen, it's cheaper to rent than to buy in the long term.
Oh, it's cheaper to rent than buy in the long term. I'm not even sure it's cheaper to rent than buy in the short term anymore, honestly, with the way rent prices are these days. I mean, there's things to take into consideration. When you first go into your rental property, you're going to have to come up with your security deposit, your first and last month's rent. And nowadays, that money is high. It's almost equaling out to a down payment to buy a house in the first place. And if you think that your rent prices are not directly affected by the higher mortgage rates and the higher home prices, I've got another thing to tell you. They're definitely affected by that. I've mentioned it before. When you're renting, you're often paying someone else's mortgage. So you still are paying a mortgage, just not your own. So no, I do not believe that it is necessarily cheaper to rent than it is to buy.
Okay. Kristen, thank you very much. That was our latest episode of Kristen's Mythbusters on Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr will return in just a few moments after these important messages. Don't touch that dial.
It's time for Real Estate Trivia. What term describes the conversion
reminds you to raise your awareness of the importance of being proactive in the fight against cancer. Due to improvements in detection, treatment, and public awareness, deaths due to lung, colon, breast, and prostate cancers are being reduced. Cancer is a tough topic for people to confront, but if you take the time to be informed, you can greatly reduce your risk. This from Obanoff Auction Service in Round Lake, working to make our community even better. Remember, an ounce of prevention is worth more than a pound of cure.
And now for today's trivia answer. The term used to describe the conversion of rental units into condominiums is condo conversion.
Welcome back to Unlocking Lake County with your host, Dick Barr.
Well, hello and welcome back. This is Dick Barr with Unlocking Lake County. We're back here with Kristen Kaufman.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back.
Sly Marinka.
Hello, hello.
And our special guest in the studio today, Ken Bryant.
Hello.
That was like probably one of the best first hours of the show I think we've ever had, guys. I think the more people in the studio, the better.
I
think the
agree.
conversation really flows. And
kinda
that
fun.
And that amazing advice from Sly Marinka. For those of you who just stepped into your car and weren't listening to us for the first hour, Sly dropped a doozy of a suggestion to help your kids get them signed on to your credit accounts as authorized users sooner than later, because that will help them grow their credit. So when they're ready to buy a car or house, they've got your credit score basically. So you better be good in your credit scores. Don't leave your kid hanging high and dry. But apparently you can take them off the accounts too. So if you get into a little bit of trouble, you can supposedly, I haven't verified this independently, but you can take them off so it doesn't have a negative effect on them. So thanks for that, Sly.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Okay, so in our studio, we have a member of the Dick Barr Group at Village Realty as a real estate broker, Ken Bryant. But Ken Bryant's also been a builder for his entire career, building everything from upgrades and renovations to full-on new home construction. So we invited Ken in to talk to you about what options do you have if you don't want to move. You got a fantastic interest rate, you're paying 2.5%, and you don't want to sell and then move to a 7% interest rate, and you want options for what you can do to your house to kind of change the scenery a little bit. So Ken Bryant, welcome to the studio. Thanks for being here, and give us a little introduction about yourself.
My name's Ken Bryant. Yeah, I've been in the industry since 97, 98.
Just learned to break actually that we're responsible for building the neighborhood that I live in, Lakes.
Possibly.
I built my house.
Depending on what builder, yes. Depending on what builder. Yes, I used to work for a builder that built homes back in the Valley Lakes, yes.
Yeah.
As a superintendent over there. Mm-hmm. LA Lakes, Chesapeake Trails, locally here in Round Lake Heights.
Oh.
I built the mayor's house.
Oh, humble brag.
He still lives there.
Yeah, right off of, that's not Iroquois there. That's the main. Well, let's not give the mayor's.
Yeah.
That's a bad idea. Love Terry though. I think Terry's great. I think he's great for his community.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, so new construction for many years until about 2012. Went out on my own, and here I am, doing my own thing. I love doing additions. We do a lot of interior renovations, old Victorians we've done. So you see a lot of knocking down walls. Of course, you've been seeing that for about a decade now. Taking these older homes and just opening them up for just that open floor plan that everybody wants, and adding kitchen islands and that stuff. So you see a lot of that. That's what you see most of when people are getting into the older homes. But you also get a lot of the, clients that just do their master bathroom and wanted to freshen it up with throwing heated floors and, beautiful tiled surrounds, niche boxes, and glass doors.
What's a niche box?
Just a niche box is where you put all your shampoo and stuff like that. So yeah, You see a ton of that. It's really customized to what the client wants. What do they really want? Do they want a gazebo in the backyard? Some people spend a lot of time outside. I know I do. Do they want a big patio? But most people on the interior, are knocking down walls, doing kitchens and bathrooms, finishing basements, things of that nature. Just turn it into what they know they're going to be in for the next 10 years, next 15 years. Really want to get everything out of it.
So what's that process look like? If I'm a homeowner, I want to do some changes, additions, upgrades. So I call you, and I call you, I'm assuming?
Yep.
Okay, so I call you, and then what's the process?
Well, the first process is I'm going to come out and see what you're thinking about doing. A client might call me and say, I want to do my kitchen. From there, it might expand to let's knock this down. I don't want the walk-in pantry anymore. I want a pantry cabinet. I don't want the double oven that takes up all this space. I want, a standard range. So it changes and it varies. And sometimes once you get into a client's home and you get in the middle of a project, they don't want to let you leave.
Project creep.
So now it just expands and you have a hard time getting to the next project.
So we decided, you come to my house, I want to upgrade my kitchen. I tell you what I want. What do you do from there? Do you have a designer come in? Do you do the design?
If the architectural drawing that is needed is basic enough, I'll do my own drawings. If I need an architect, I have an architect that I work with. When it comes to designers, I have a couple of designers that I work with. But when it comes to kitchen cabinetry, a lot of these cabinet suppliers do their own designs. So with one of my drawings, I can take that to my cabinet suppliers and get pricing. They'll do a cabinet layout with 3D renderings, and you'll be able to see exactly what your kitchen would look like with the style cabinet that you selected and the color.
And I've seen your layouts too. One of the first listings that you had when you were part of my group, because we do basic floor plans, just walls, right?
Yep.
And you had shown me for your first listing all this. I can't believe the amount of time that you spent in making a full. I told you guys to turn off your phones, and mine's ringing. You had really nice. They were actually beautiful to look at, those designs.
Yeah, I've been using that program for a long time at it, and I want to be able to show people what it will look like. And so in that instance, without them going out there, of course they had pictures, but I wanted them to see that floor plan, and I needed that floor plan to be accurate to the photographs that they were looking at. So if there was a butler's pantry or something like that, it's going to be listed on that drawing and shown. It's important to me, bay windows, things like that show up for sure.
Okay, so now let's talk about, I'm not interested in your pricing, but
yes.
Because I want people to kind of understand bang for buck is. So I always tell people, when you move into a house, it's probably the best idea, instead of doing all the projects at once, or waiting forever to do all the projects and only doing them right before you sell. It's best to do a couple of projects every couple of years. So you're always living in some of the home, and some of the home is always new when you do sell. So you get to enjoy. How many times have I sold a house for someone and they put in this beautiful kitchen, but they're just doing it for the purpose of sale. They're not ever getting to experience the luxurious feeling of having that kitchen.
Yeah.
So let's kind of look at, from just a overall generalization, and these are averages. If someone were to want a whole new, let's say a whole new master bathroom, what are the price ranges for something like that?
That range is going to vary quite dramatically, but if a standard size bathroom, you could probably start around the $15,000 range and go up to $50,000, $60,000, depending on the size of the bathroom, depending on what you're putting in there. We're doing one right now that has a Kohler valve. Now, you think of a valve in your shower that you just turn on and off when you get in the shower, right? Not this one. This one's digital. You'll push the button here, and it'll turn on your body sprays, your rain head, your handheld. The valve is actually a control panel in the wall. It's actually a lot of fun putting it in.
Well, I'm sold.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
Yeah. So you can take it anywhere you want. The budget is yours to work with. The things that you're going to find that are inexpensive, for example, you can head out and you can find tile for, $4 or $5 a square foot or less, that's going to work for just about any design that you have. But you can also find tile that is very, very expensive. That's going to blow your budget. So most of my clients are sticking in a less expensive tile, but it's a beautiful tile, and you would never know the difference.
Yeah, I mean, the quality of the work that is getting done, I think, is probably the most important part of that project. Is that fair to say?
It truly is. I mean, you could, for example, you could go to your local big box store and you can walk down the tile aisle and you can look at all the different end tiles that they have there. And then you can go to one of the more expensive shops and you're going to find that they have the same tiles. Mm-hmm. They have more selection, but they're a lot more money. So any budget, you can really do something in your bathroom.
I'm sure after that you can get the most expensive tile there is, but if it's laid poorly, it's not going to look good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That is a fact. That is a fact. I've seen, well, I do it for a living. So now anywhere I go, I look at tiles.
Mm-hmm. Yep. I do the same thing when I look at new houses or anytime I walk into a person's house. I'm like, I bet you I could sell this for X amount of money.
Yeah. Right. Well, when I go in and look at a listing, I'm walking through people's homes. I'm looking at these details because details make a difference. They make a difference in the things I build every day, but also the things I sell. When I'm looking at someone's home that they want to list it, I see small stuff that they might not. Mm-hmm. And those are things that I think you can address, and usually address them pretty inexpensively.
Hey, I have a quick question. Sorry. Yeah. Because Kristen, thank you very much for taking that over. I'm responding to a client on my text. When it comes to electric, what does it mean? Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3? Does that mean anything?
Well, it does, and you're going to see, your phases are more commercial. So a phase 3 system.
Yep. This is a commercial client, so there could be a phase 1, a phase 2, and a phase 3.
There could be, yes.
Okay, that's my only question. You can go back. Sorry.
All right, so back to our conversation. So the next step, right? So we've called you. You've come in. You've taken a look around. Let's just say you've drawn up the. Actually, I have a question about that really quick.
Yeah.
So. You mentioned how if something is basic enough, you can do the drawings yourself, and if not, you'll bring someone else in. Does that affect cost, bringing in another person to do the project?
To do a drawing, yes, it absolutely does. Architects don't work for free.
That makes sense.
And I do the drawings for free, so I generally will do my drawings when I can.
Okay.
Which I can do 99% of my own drawings.
Sure.
On a project like that. Now, where I need an architect, for example, is we get into a kitchen project, and this actually happened once out in Deerfield. And we exposed the ceiling to find out that somewhere along the line a load-bearing wall was removed.
Oh.
Okay, now I need the architect to come out. He writes me a letter, does a quick drawing. It's less expensive than actually doing the overall drawing. Mm-hmm. He's happy because he was able to come out and take care of this for us. He made a little bit of money and he moved on, and it saved the client money doing it that way as well.
Okay, great. So we've called you. We've got something drawn up. I assume at that point, that's when you would come in with a quote.
Yes.
If I am the person remodeling my kitchen or bathroom, do I need to have that cash on hand before the project is finished?
Cash on hand before the project is finished? No, I would say no to that. There are several different ways you can do it. So my proposal, it'll be based on the dollar amount, and I will usually break my deposit and progress payments and things like that. I need to be performing in order to be paid.
Okay.
Can I interject a question? And this may, because we have Sly here. Can people get financed for?
I was just about to ask that.
They can. I don't offer that through my bank, but yes, they can. I haven't stumbled across the need to do it. Most people go into these projects. They know they have a range of what they're going to be spending, and so they're prepared for it.
Sly, what are their options if maybe they're doing a major project or don't have the cash laying around? What options do you have that can help them afford these projects?
Typically to tap into the equity of your home, a home equity line of credit might be a good option. It's basically a second mortgage. We're dealing with that a ton right now because nobody wants to get rid of that 2.5-3% rate on their first mortgage. So how are you going to get money out of your house? Well, you could do what's called a home equity line of credit. It's basically an adjustable rate that is attached to the prime interest rates. So the rates are going to be higher on that, but it's a way to borrow out of the equity of your home, pay back, borrow, pay back. To do home improvements or debt consolidation or whatever. That's the most common one. We also do offer construction loans, but on a construction loan, again, you're getting rid of your current mortgage, and most people have a low interest rate and they don't want to do that. Yeah.
So the advantage of the home equity is they only draw it as they need it, right?
Absolutely. Yep. And you only pay interest on what is outstanding, so you're not paying a regular mortgage payment. So yeah,
Now,
it's
if
cool.
a
Good
person
option.
did not have enough equity to do that, do you have any other options available?
Not really, because it is a second lien position, so they're going to require quite a bit of equity to be able to do something like that.
But how much you think with 80% LTV, 75%?
Max is typically 80%. It used to be more than that, but right now most of the lenders are kind of cutting back a little bit on equity, and typically it's 80% combined loan to value. So if you add your first mortgage with the new equity line, they still want about 20% equity after that.
Okay.
Okay, so they figured out how they're going to pay for it. Now, as far as timeline is concerned, how often would you say that you're able to give an accurate timeline, or how often do you see things come up that need some grace period for your timelines?
From start to finish, again, it depends on always the project,
Of
but
course.
Timelines vary. They vary based on what we've ordered. Did we order it in advance or not? Cabinets, typical lead times, depending on the vendor that I go through, are, believe it or not, they're only 2 to 3 weeks, sometimes 4. But an average kitchen, you can plan on a good couple of months in there. Not somebody there every day because you're waiting for things. All the cabinets are installed, everything is painted, everything is done. The granite guy comes and measures. Okay, now you got 2 weeks to wait, and you're waiting. Granite guy comes in, now he's done. Right after that, we're done. Backsplashes, and you're out of there. But you do have some waiting time in there.
Okay.
When
Would you say they're
it's a
pretty
permitted process, is it longer?
No. Permits are a necessity, and no, it's not a longer process. I suppose it is if maybe you don't do a good job. But inspectors come in; they are there to work with you and get your project done. So we don't have issues with inspectors.
Okay. So you would say that timelines are pretty reliable, though, pretty predictable?
Absolutely, yeah.
Cool. Awesome.
What is the craziest thing you've ever built for somebody?
Oh boy, I might be doing, and I wouldn't even call it crazy, but we have to lower a tree fort. Now it's not built on a tree.
Ooh, that sounds cool.
It is built on a platform. It's 16 by 16. It's about 6 feet off the ground, and then about 30 feet, 25 feet from there. And it was built without a permit. The village shut him down. Now they're allowing him to rebuild it, but of course it has to be rebuilt lower. So we have to go and take the entire second floor off, the roof off, lower the entire thing, rebuild it. That's going to be a strange one. That'll be a weird one. That's one years and years ago, raising houses. We put an addition on a channel front property and raised the existing house because if you heard me talk earlier about a short basement, it was an older home with a shorter basement. They wanted that an 8-foot basement, so the addition had the 8-foot basement. So we jacked the house up to match that, to give it a full height basement all the way through.
Wow. I didn't realize that would be the option. Is building down ever an option? Adding a basement?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not something I would do. There are contractors that are specifically, that's all they do.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I got to see you work on the first couple of listings that you had once you joined our office, and you work in a very unique way. So in a way I've never seen any agent kind of work.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
No, this is all good. You go way more above and beyond than anyone I've ever seen because you have this knowledge and this skill and this eye. So I've seen you go in and pretty much get the house ready, fix all the problems. Now, mind you, I'm not saying that he came in and he did this for free, but you were able to get a couple of houses like in tip-top condition because you knew what the buyers were looking for.
Yeah. So 2 clients there, they needed guidance. The first one really needed a lot of guidance. He had, his family members and a friend, and they were trying to get this house ready, and they were working toward a timeline, and they were falling short of this timeline. So I find myself going over there and helping.
Yeah.
Let's go, guys. Let's get this house on the market. We got to get it on the market. And we missed the timeline. I couldn't be there every day doing everything, but yeah, I was absolutely there with my client, getting that home ready. Anything that I can do there for sure, yeah.
And I've even seen you kind of run behind the inspector during inspection, fixing issues as they came up.
Well, I am a general contractor, so when something comes up, yes, I have my electrician, my plumber, my HVAC contractor, my roofer. I have all those people in my back pocket, and I will absolutely use them when I need to, yeah. And what the one was interesting, we discovered a leak, if you remember that one. We discovered a leak in a drain line coming from the second floor. Owner had no idea that the leak was there and gave me a call. It turned out that leak was behind the cabinets.
I remember you
Behind the cabinets.
You sent me a text like all of a sudden, all the cabinetry's down.
Yep. We had to move the range, take the microwave down, take the cabinets down, fix the leak, had the plumber there, fix the leak, patch the wall, put everything back together. And we did that in about 4 days, I think, all back together and ready to go. My client had to pay the plumber. I did all the rest of the work.
Yeah, but let's make this clear. This is not something that you're offering as a free service, right? This was a unique situation, but your knowledge, skill, and abilities, and luckily your schedule allowed
me to do it.
To do that.
The point is that I will, I go over and beyond what my service. My clients are important to me, and they come back every single time because of the service that I provide, whether it's selling their home or building their home. So yeah, I'm going to be there.
You bring such a value to the team by doing that. We have a listener question for you, actually, if you don't mind. Our listener asks, if you are a client interviewing contractors, how would you know officially if the contractor is informed of building codes from the municipality?
From the municipality? Well, every village is a little bit different here in Illinois. So a lot of villages require contractors to get registered within the village. I think, where am I at right now? Libertyville, actually they don't, but you have to show them insurance. But I'm not sure through the municipality, I'm not following the question on how would they verify.
I think the question is, how do you know that your contractor is up on codes?
It's for your area.
Codes.
Yeah. And because each municipality is different, so I think he's asking, can you call the village and say, hey, I'm thinking about working with this contractor. Do you know about them? Do they do business in town?
You could. They may or may not, they may or may not have any information on them. I mentioned Libertyville. I worked in Libertyville many times over the years, but I'm only there once every couple of years. So I'm not registered there all the time. So, that caller, they may catch the village and that contractor hasn't been there. You can look for references is one thing that I would say. I have a list of references. I don't always add on to it because I'm really bad at that kind of stuff. But if a
it's
client,
like trying to get reviews on our deals.
Yeah, if
we suck at it.
Yeah, if a client asks me, hey, I really like you. Do you have any references? Yeah, I'm going to provide you everything that I can to make you feel comfortable. What I find is that, I connect with people. With my clients.
I do want to say, because we got to be careful because we're over the air. So this isn't an infomercial about any of us, right? Yeah. And I know we're talking about generalities. Yep. And then what your typical contractor is going through and what the public can expect.
Yeah, for sure. So I've lost contracts, not because I did during the interview process, because the client had just a better chemistry with another contractor. They liked me, they liked my price. Our prices were right there, but they felt like they had a better chemistry with another contractor. Yep. And that is the way you want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we see that in real estate too, right? There's there's sometimes it's competence, sometimes it's experience, sometimes it's history, and sometimes it's just connection.
Yeah.
Who am I connecting? Same thing in the lending field.
Absolutely.
Christian, I've heard you talk about that several times. In fact, you told me a story once where you were up against a few different brokers, and those clients just said, "We connect with you."
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was brand new when that happened too. I had just kind of started putting myself out there, and I just decided to show up as myself. I was fighting a little bit of imposter syndrome walking in the door, and I took a deep breath and said, I'm just going to be me, and if they like me, they'll work with me, and if not, that's fine too. I think in the end, they ended up telling me that one of the reasons that they chose me is because of all the realtors that they had interviewed. I was the only one who wouldn't put any other realtors down. Because they had asked, oh, well, what about this person and this person? And I said, guys, your house is beautiful. It's going to sell no matter who you choose. It's just a matter of who you feel comfortable with. And apparently I don't know who the other agents were, so I don't want to say.
That's why you didn't say anything bad about it.
Yeah, I'm not throwing any shade. But I guess the other agents were like, oh, well, you don't want to work with so-and-so. And, sometimes clients just want to know that they're working with someone who is just going to be kind. You're talking to them a lot for the next several months. You're going to have a relationship with them. You got to like them.
Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr will return in just a few moments after these important messages. Don't touch that dial.
It's time for real estate trivia. What term defines a mortgage whose interest rate stays the same for the duration of the loan? The answer after we return.
The Life. Whoa. The Power
St.
Station.
Gilbert's Catholic Church in Grays Lake reminds the class of 2024. Each year, over half of all traffic fatalities involve teenage drivers. During your prom and graduation festivities, remember, underage drinking is illegal. Driving while under the influence of drugs or alcohol is lethal. Drive with care. Don't take that dare. The life you save could be your own. This from St. Gilbert's Catholic Church in Grays Lake. For worship, they can be reached at 847-223-4731.
You're listening to Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr.
Signal in the distance, to whom it may concern. I think I lost my way, getting good at starting over every time that I return. Learning to walk again. I believe I've waited long enough. Where do I begin? Learning to talk again. Can't you see I've waited long enough? Where do I You remember the days we built these paper mountains, then sat and watched them burn. I think I found my place. Can't you feel it growing stronger, little conquerors? Learning to walk again.
That's what I always try and do. And again, I'm sure other contractors are doing the same thing, trying to save their client a little bit of money.
Yeah, and I apologize. Thank you, Kristen. Unfortunately, our video stream didn't have any of that audio. So, yeah, the only people lucky enough to, well, actually, it will be on the YouTube feed on the station and the Twitch feed, but on our live stream. Sorry, folks who are watching our live streams. You couldn't hear all that awesome, amazing stuff that Ken just told you, but we're not going to tell you again.
But thank you for the listener who pointed that out to us.
Yes, thank you. Seriously, thank you. So what I do, and the reason I cut audio when we go to break is because we play a song, and the song has copyright, so I can't have that song go out over the live streams because the Facebooks and the YouTubes of the world will silence our video and give us a copyright ding.
I gotcha.
So I shut off during the commercials so we don't have the music go through the air. Unfortunately, I was late to shut it off before at the break, and unfortunately late to put the audio back on. So I apologize to our viewers there. And anyway, so Ken was just giving us a kind of what to expect and what you got to do for getting if you plan on building new construction. Now, Kristen, what about not necessarily building new construction, but what are our options if you still want new construction, but you don't want to go through buying the land and getting the permits and hiring a general contractor?
So if you are looking to purchase a new construction, a new build, but don't want to do all of that background work yourself, a great option for you to do is consider buying a new construction in an area that's already being developed. That is going to save you a lot of headache, especially if you don't have a lot of previous knowledge on what you're doing. And a common myth when it comes to buying new construction in a developing neighborhood is that you don't need to be represented by an agent. And while you don't necessarily have to be, I wouldn't necessarily say that that is going to be beneficial for you. Earlier in the show, I used the analogy of buying a car and saying that I've never driven off of the lot feeling like I got the best possible deal because I'm not being represented by an expert. And the same concept can be applied to this concept of buying a new construction in a developing neighborhood. Sorry, I lost my train of thought there.
No, that's okay. So basically what you're saying is that when you go in to buy off of, let's say, blueprints or a floor plan for a developer building in a community, it's not the worst thing in the world to go in with your own representation because the sales agents that you encounter in the sales office, they represent the builder.
Correct.
That's the only one they represent. So if you have questions, their answers, while you hope they'll be the correct answers, they only have a fiduciary responsibility to the builder that they represent, not you. So when the question might be, hey, is there a way I can save some money or get some more done? They're going to give you the answer that their builder gives.
Yeah, or knowing that you can have an inspection done on your own side as the buyer and not having to just rely on what you've been told by the builders. Yeah,
no, absolutely. That's a very important thing to do. Sly, let's, because financing is different on new construction. So you guys say, is your mic on?
Yes.
Okay, good. So, because when someone applies for the loan, they're not actually getting the loan for 6, 9, 12 months. How does that work with rate locks?
So there are long-term locks. We have a product 70 days that you could interest rate and you pay a fee up front. It's not refundable for that, and the interest rate. So that is an option. And if you are being your own home construction loans, and a construction loan is you interest on the outpayment of the balance you get there, and it's called. So we do options. Most people do that. They think that rate and take advantage of a lower rate, but that gamble if rates continue to go up. So yes, we do have options for long term. Most lenders will have that. So just talk to your lender if you do plan on purchasing a home from a builder that requires a 6 to 9 month lock.
And that's an important consideration because, for how many months now, 6, 10 month, we've been hearing, rates are coming down, rates are coming down. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, boom, 8%. It's like, wait, whoa, that's not down, that's up.
Right.
And then kind of month after month, quarter after quarter we're hearing, oh, they're going down, but they don't. And again, it's just such a wildly variable number that locking in is probably a good idea, but I also understand people who want to roll the dice and get a chance at maybe getting that lower rate.
Yep.
What happens if they lock in and the rates drop in half? What happens?
Yeah, so there are a lot of times opportunities to renegotiate your rate if the rates come down significantly.
What is significantly?
Typically, it's about it's 100 basis points in the pricing, which equates to about 0.5% drop. So if you lock in at 7% and next week the rates go down to 6.5%, talk to your lender. A lot of lenders will do a one-time renegotiation on your rate lock. It's not super common that it drops that much in a short period of time, but on a new construction that's 6 months from now, 6 months out from now, there is a chance that could happen, and you'll want to take advantage of that lower rate.
It's nice to know there's options.
Yeah.
Now, Ken, in the interest of myth busting,
Oh boy.
is it necessarily cheaper to build than it is to buy, in your opinion?
Cheaper to build than buy. I suppose that's really going to depend on what the client wants.
Of course.
So build and buy. I don't know. I mean, I'm on the fence on that one. I got to be honest with you.
I know from my experience with clients who I've had who have built, I've had clients who went into building saying, "Oh, it's going to cost me $800,000," and 9-12 months later they realized they're at like 1.4, 1.5 million. So you have that project creep, but that's not the builder taking advantage of them.
Right.
It could be a variance in costs, right? That could change. Labor availability could change. But if there's a contract there, there's also the fact that now that the kitchen's in, the client decides, oh wait, do I really want that countertop? And so they make those changes. I had a client who put in doors that cost $45,000.
Oh wow!
Yeah, that really jacked up the cost of construction. But generally speaking, newer construction is generally more expensive than buying new, but you have that newness factor. But the newness factor isn't always the best. I've got people who will specifically not want new construction because they don't want that smell that's in that new construction that lingers in I don't know if it's in the drywall or the lumber that kind of sticks around with the house for a little while. I'm not sensitive to it, but I've had clients who were. They're also ones who say I don't want to live near power lines because of EMP or so. But whatever, to each their own. But the nice thing that I think about buying existing is you know exactly what the house is, you know exactly where it is, and you know exactly whether or not it meets your requirements. The benefit to building new is you get to make it meet your requirements, and that's the advantage.
Well, one thing that I'll add to that, and you might be able to help me out here, Dick. New construction in the first couple of years after you close, your taxes are estimated.
Yeah.
So in year 3, 4, whenever it hits, now you've been assessed, and all I've ever seen is that go up. Never seen that go down. Yeah. Now, I could be wrong on that. I'm just telling you what I have seen. So with an existing home, you know what your taxes are, where they've been, and where they're going.
Right. Typically, on the first year of your ownership, you're going to see a tax bill for like $100 because it's based on before they broke the land up. Because, taxes in Illinois, we pay them in arrears. And then, like Ken said, there'll be an estimate of value. But what they do is a lot of times on new construction, they'll assume its value, but then realize as more homes are built and more sell, the prices are going up. So when it comes time to actually assess your property, they generally tend to be significantly higher. There's also the benefit when you buy existing is the seller of that house is going to give you a tax proration. And here in Illinois, because that's in arrears, we can help clients who are buyers use some of that tax proration to apply towards some of their closing costs. Because Sly, you guys over at the bank, you're not making them put that whole usually not making them put that whole proration into an escrow. You're usually saying we want about half of that, and you could take your other half and use it to buy down some of your, not buy down, that's the wrong word, but how to lower some of your closing costs, or at least pay for some of your closing costs.
Yeah.
Yep, correct, absolutely. And on a new build, you don't get that. Now, we also aren't collecting as much on a new build because we know the tax bill won't be coming out for a full year after the year that it's the occupancy permit is issued. But I have had clients that have gotten, tax bills that were way, way, way higher than they anticipated or that even the builder anticipated, and it kind of crept up on them. That second year when you're in the house and all of a sudden you get a $18,000 tax bill, and you haven't been preparing for that, and we haven't been collecting because legally we can't. We
Yeah.
can't collect all
Right.
that money and just let it sit there, and all of a sudden your payment goes up $2,000 a month to catch up. That's not a fun position to be in. So always talk to your lender.
Yeah.
Make sure you're prepared for that if you plan on building a new house.
So
or
there's a
buying
lot
a
of
new
variables
construction.
when it comes to buying or building. So basically what I'm hearing is it's just going to be best to do whatever's going to suit your needs and wants.
Absolutely. That's true with everything.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a few minutes left. Kristen, do you mind? Let's do a little bit of listener Q&A.
Absolutely. They have been coming in and they are excited to hear your answers. First question, can I back out of a real estate deal if I change my mind?
Yes, 100%. In Illinois, we're lucky. We do a 5 business day attorney and inspection approval period. That's standard in our contracts. So buyers and sellers, it goes both ways. So, you know, it's a benefit to the buyers. And sometimes that's a detriment to the sellers, but it's also a benefit to the sellers, which can be a detriment to the buyers. Now, sometimes what we've seen in very tight markets, some buyers will think they have a lot more leverage than they do to ask for maybe extra or egregious inspection demands. The seller can use that time to back out of the deal too. So that's a sword that cuts both ways. So be careful how you swing it.
Will installing a pool increase my home's value?
The general consensus is no, but keep in mind where you live. So here in the Northeast, where your pool's only good for about 17 minutes between June 23rd and June 24th, the answer is typically no. A lot of buyers will buy a home, and the first thing they do is fill it in. They fill the pool in. But
That's what I did.
after COVID, that's changed a little bit. People realizing that they need a little bit more home entertainment. We saw more buyers willing to buy homes with pools after COVID. Now that's slowed down. Well, that's calmed down just a little bit, and I don't know fully, but I would say at best it's a break. At best it's revenue neutral. At worst, it's a reduction in value. Would you agree, Ken?
I would. Yeah. I don't have a lot to add to that. It's always been, negative as far as do I want a pool now? An in-ground pool, something that's really beautiful, and okay, it could be different there.
Yeah. Is it bad to buy the first house that I see?
It could be, or it couldn't be. It depends. In hot markets, the house you love could be the absolute very one, and if you don't, you could wind up walking away from the best house that you would have encountered. Generally speaking, no, I don't recommend it, because, and that's why I recommend that clients get together with your realtors early and just start looking at houses even before you're ready to buy, so you know what's out there. So when you are ready to buy and you have your approval from your lender, and then the first house you see turns out to be exactly what you want, then you pull the trigger. Unfortunately, we are just about out of time. These 2 hours always go so fast. I want to thank everybody for listening again and joining us. And we hope you can make it out to join us next week for another episode of, what's the name of our show? Unlocking Lake County?
Unlocking Lake County.
With all of us. So hope everyone can join us. Thanks so much and have a great week.
That's a wrap on today's episode of Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the heart of our community, exploring the ins and outs of real estate and meeting the people who make Lake County truly remarkable. Remember, every property has a story, and every community member holds a key to unlocking our county's full potential. Don't miss out on discovering more hidden gems and expert insights. Make sure to tune in every Wednesday at 12 noon for another episode of Unlocking Lake County with Dick Barr. Until then, keep exploring, keep dreaming, and keep unlocking the possibilities that await you in Lake County. Thank you for listening, and see you next week.
WRLR 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois. WRLR 98.3 FM LP, Round Lake Beach, Illinois.